Hello everyone, welcome to the intuitive card reading for, what is this? January 22nd through 28th. Is that right? Yeah, January 22nd through 28th. You guys know the drill. Please like this video, please subscribe to this channel. Please share this video with anybody that maybe needs to hear the messages for the week. What else? Comments down below. Feedback is always encouraged, and any type of dialogue is encouraged. Just be kind. That's all I ask. Okay. Not too much to say here, guys. Same 4 decks. I think they're obviously shuffled, but I don't know if they're the same order as last week, but they're in an order that makes me feel good. I read intuitively, and that includes what decks I use. So the decks are still feeling good. This order feels good. The spread still feels good. So let's just jump right into it, guys. What do we need this week? Serendipity. Okay, so serendipity to me means things are serendipitous, things are kismet, things are, there's a lot of similar cards to this. It's kind of like very similar to the Fates card that we have in the same deck. Where divine timing is at play, where synchronicity is at play. So it definitely feels like we need more flow, which is kind of disappointing, honestly, because I definitely feel like we were getting a lot of flow cards. I think it was actually the yearly, so it might be like sprinkled throughout the year, or if it's the monthly, but for January. But it looks like this week we're really kind of struggling for it. So it feels like we really just need things to flow. And guys, I know we don't have a lot of control. We have our timing versus divine timing. So we don't have a lot of control over divine timing, but we do have control over what we're forcing and what we're surrendering to. Okay. So this is kind of a hint, saying like, okay, we need to kind of let things be. We need to let things flow over force all day, every day. And this is pretty much just giving us that heads up that we really need to start maybe surrendering or letting go this week. Obviously, this is the first card, so let's see what the rest of the week says and any other hidden messages around that. Any messages that come up around that, we'll see. But that's kind of the idea here is like, if you have to force things so much, time to reevaluate that. Wise one, grow within your current situation. Okay, action needed. All right, so this one is actually saying... we need to spend a pretty significant amount of time this week, and I'm very interested to see what comes up with focus and reflect here. But it's saying like the action needed, the thing that we really need to put forth into fruition, into action, into a tangible thing, is really our growth that we've had, but also the growth that we've had over the last couple of months, the last couple of years, because we've really grown in this 3-year period that we've had. But this is kind of saying that this week, how do I say this? Something will kind of come up that kind of reflects your struggle, but gives you an opportunity to take action in a different way from what you've learned, right? So you're pretty much putting wisdom into action. If I was to talk about the hero's journey, and if some of you guys are familiar with it, maybe not, but basically it's saying you go in, it's the call of the hero. You go into a really difficult journey and you come out, with lots of wisdom, or sometimes people call it the elixir, and you're supposed to use the elixir for good, and you're supposed to use it for positive change. So this is pretty much saying like, you need to actually take action and now walk the talk, right? Because everything that you've learned, how much you've grown, like it's time to now put that into action is what Spirit is saying. So I definitely do feel like there might be like a trigger this week, or there might be something that kind of comes up where the universe is almost like, I want to say like testing you in a way. I don't usually say that, or that doesn't usually come up, but that does happen. The universe does test you to see if you've learned the lessons. And that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting here is like, did you learn what you just went through? And now it's time to put it into action. So that's very interesting. But yeah, so basically it's saying apply what you've learned. Okay, issue. What do we have issues with? Okay, this came in upside down. It's mediator negotiating with an alternative motive or hidden agenda, either personally or professionally. Okay. So this is saying the issue is we want to be in the positive. We want to be in the light with the mediator, meaning that, we want to be able to kind of like see both sides of things, see different people's perspectives. But I hate to say this, guys, and it's okay. But it's almost like we are hoping for an outcome or even manipulating an outcome that will be in our favor. And we're trying to do that with no avail. And so why I'm saying it's okay is because it's not, sometimes when we hear the word manipulation, you have to understand like everything has a light and a shadow. Okay. So when we hear manipulation, we can sometimes, automatically go to a more negative place with it, which isn't really true, because if we manipulate energy, that's, if you think about it, that's, manifestation, basically, alchemy, that kind of thing. So it's not that bad. It's not like I'm telling you, how do I say this? I don't want you guys to think like it's like more so like a negative thing. This is actually saying like we want a certain outcome for ourselves and we're attempting to make that outcome for ourselves, but we're coming across an issue. We're coming across a dilemma. We're coming across a challenge, and I'll pick the challenge in a minute. But it's like we are trying to sway somebody from thinking a certain way potentially, but it's not working out in our favor. Okay, so think about like persuasion, trying to persuade people, trying to persuade a certain outcome, trying to manipulate a certain outcome, but we're having issues doing that. And again, it sounds, it's actually, honestly, it feels like neutral, like there's nothing like negative or positive about it. It's just saying this is just what's going on this week. Is like you're trying to get something to turn out in your favor, and it's not working out. You're having issues doing that. Okay, so just be careful again, because everything has a light and a dark, light and a shadow. Just make sure we're not manipulating to the point. And I don't feel like this is a lot of you guys, but I do read for the collective. So there's, maybe like a few of you guys out there. So just make sure you're not taking it to an extent where you won't be happy with yourselves, or manipulating at any cost, at any cost, basically. So, doing something, I don't want to say illegal, but, maybe that doesn't feel great to you or goes against your values or something along those lines. Again, I don't think it's the majority of you guys, but I definitely want to say that just in case, like it's a couple of you guys out there. But again, we're trying to make something turn out in our favor, and we're just having issues with it. So let's pull the next card to see if we can get some more clarity, because the challenge is kind of similar. Okay, so persistence makes sense, because persistence is about trying to move forward, trying to at any cost, move forward at any cost, be persistent, get this done at any cost. Okay, so that's the challenge. So that makes sense that these two are together. So whatever the actual thing is, could be any area of life. I'm not getting anything pulled into relationships, health, work, money, like anything like that. I'm not getting it pulled into any, like the energy is not necessarily coming from any of those directions. So this is just generally. So however it applies to you, take what resonates and leave the rest. But it definitely does feel like we're trying, and it's not really working out. That could be associated, so this situation could be associated to what the action needed here, and could also be with the needed. And the way that I see it is, if we are doing something and we're not applying what our latest wisdom is, it's obviously not going to work. And then as far as like the need goes with the serendipity, if we're continuously forcing something and it's not working, hint, hint, we need more flow, we need more serendipity. Okay, so they could all go together, could be the same situation, could be different situations, but that's just kind of the way that I see it and I feel it to be. Okay, what's actually changing though? What are we not going to have issues with, and what's going to naturally happen? Good. Okay, community we have. And we have the 8. Ding, ding, ding. Love that 8 when it comes up in the universal year 8. Don't forget, guys, numerology wise, we are in that universal year 8. So abundance, empowerment, prosperity, manifestation, all of those good things. And then we have community. Okay, it comes with community. So this to me is saying that we're feeling more so belonging, which is great, because I don't know if it was, again, guys, some of these, when I do these readings, I just, I read intuitively. So it's not like I'm pulling from memory, not like my memory is reliable right now or anything, but, so I don't remember exactly which ones are, I just remember the energy imprint, I guess we could say. So I don't necessarily remember if it was like the month or the week or something like that, or even the year, because we just had the year. But I definitely do remember some orphan cards. Obviously, we're not done with the spread, but from this card, it feels like I would be very surprised if we got something like there's also a loneliness card in here as well as an orphan card. But which symbolizes loneliness and isolation and that kind of thing. But that's what's going to change. We're going to find more community. So you're going to be finding and feeling like, at least, I will say this, guys, it definitely does feel like you have an idea of that, meaning like where you can fit in. If you've been wondering how maybe you just moved or how you can fit into the community more, I think the ideas are going to be a little bit more tangible this week, like coming to fruition, or not coming to fruition, I'm sorry, coming as far as like epiphanies or ideas or divine downloads or something like that. So I definitely do feel like it's becoming clearer, I'll say. It's definitely becoming clearer. Maybe some of you guys will be tangible for sure, like actually joining clubs or groups or things like that, and finding your people and finding your tribe and things like that. So yes, that could happen, but it's definitely changing. And I have to say here, it feels like it's changing rapidly. Okay, like I'm getting like, Spirit is like showing me like this rapid change, like this very like sped up type energy. So especially, like I will say this is especially true for people that feel like that they've been looking for a community for so freaking long that they feel like that they can fit into. It's finally going to start to change, and that's really positive, and I love that. And that's part of that 8 energy, that acceleration type energy, where it's like, if we want it, it's something that we've been manifesting for a long time. There's the 8 right on that card. So it's like, yep, it's happening. It's finally happening, and it's happening quickly. Okay. So that's really amazing. Okay, we have focus. So, okay, kind of the opposite of what I just said here. Shaolin Master, be graceful in movement and action. This is always about careful, calculated moves, not moving too fast, being very mindful before you make the next step. So that's very interesting that it's under focus. This could be, so I stand by what I just said with this card because it's so blatantly coming through energetic wise. So I wouldn't say this is pertaining to relationships or community or anything like that. This probably has something to do with, so if it doesn't, then I would say it probably has something to do with other areas of your life. And the other big area is career, money, that kind of stuff, impact, that stuff. So basically this is saying focus maybe on that, but maybe not about making such quick moves without having more discernment or taking your time with it. So I know this is, if you guys are out there that maybe are looking for jobs, for example, and or want things to move quicker at work in any way type, whether it's a promotion or the work, you're freelance and the work is slow, or you own a business and the clients aren't coming in, you want things to be accelerated. You wish you kind of had that change energy over there. But Spirit is saying, no, this is actually the area that we kind of need to focus and be very focused on, and meaning like not moving so freaking quickly and going a little bit slower. So that's very interesting. It's kind of a big contrast between those two, but let's see what Reflect says, because they're sometimes very similar here. Okay, we have Priest Shadow. I think we actually had this Priest the same. Did we have this upside down maybe right side up? Okay, violates the trust of your spiritual community, seduced by your own spiritual role. Okay, so this to me is about we always usually get like at least one of these cards, but this is really about how we're not necessarily serving the greatest and highest good of ourselves and everybody else, how we're not necessarily serving our highest selves and our highest potential, I will say. So and just being like a vessel for your purpose, basically. So because it's next to that, I definitely also feel like it has something to do with money, finances, and career. So this is something between the focus and the reflect. This is kind of saying, slow down, be very calculated, be very mindful, really think about your next steps, okay? And just really also think about not just necessarily actions and next steps, but is this in alignment with my purpose and my why and where I want to kind of be going, basically? So is this something that feeds my higher self? Is this something that is a greater good to myself and my highest potential and that kind of thing? So I definitely do feel like there's a spiritual element here that goes along with that Shaolin Master, where it's saying you have to kind of like slow down and see. It's almost like weaving purpose, impact, spirituality into what you're doing every day and how you can make that more impactful. So I will say this, it's almost like a vibe of, I talked a lot about like people being in survival mode the last 3 years, starting with the pandemic, 2020. Things haven't been great for a lot of us. So we've had some crazy years, and most of us have been in survival mode or something not stable, certainly not acceleration energy at all. Certainly not a lot of manifestation or abundance. And if you're one of the few people that really did thrive over the last 3 years, wonderful, amazing for you. You probably have certain things in your charts, whether it's astrologically or if it's numerology wise. But most of us didn't, as far as the collective goes. So it makes sense that we're kind of thinking about things a little bit more on a deeper level, like we have more choice. Because that's what I get here too, is like the reason that we're able to kind of slow down and really be mindful, and we're not necessarily like, I don't want to say the word desperate, but like not in survival mode. It's like the only way I can really think how to say it. So we're really thinking about things. Okay, so I'm very interested to see what comes in money and finances, but let's see what the responsibilities have to say here. Go now. Okay, so this is about, wow, this is a lot of, so it's almost like, it really is so funny because it's like, this is like acceleration energy, action energy, inaction, reflection, and then this is kind of like more back to action. Okay, so responsibilities wise, we have a responsibility to leave the places that are no longer serving us, or responsibilities to move away from the things that just aren't serving us. Okay, so again, I consider that an action card and about actually moving and going in a different direction, essentially. So I'm going to say that I don't necessarily feel like this is having to do with money and finances, even though it's smack in the middle of, right here, because of that. It's really hard to explain like how I feel like going from card to card. It just feels like it could possibly be relationships or could possibly be home life. So I will say this is pretty bold and also pretty specific, but I think some of you guys are gonna feel like you, location wise, like environment wise, you don't necessarily feel like you fit in anymore or want to move to maybe a smaller community or something like that. There's something here about moving, just thoughts of it. I know I said it's an action card. I don't necessarily see you guys actually, if anybody's ever moved, it does not take, you can't do it in a week. I mean, maybe some people out there have. I have not. It takes a lot of planning, but who knows? Maybe it depends on how much stuff you have, right? But this is just basically your responsibilities this week is just to leave situations, people, again, maybe not work so much, because again, we have more calculated movement when it comes to work, more reflection when it comes to work, but people, situations, opportunities, environments, that kind of thing. So let's see what money and finances hold, because I'm very curious now. Okay, peace. All right, so we have okay, this makes sense. Okay, so we have like action, inaction, action, inaction. Okay, peace is just, I feel peace about it, that kind of thing. So anytime peace comes up when it comes to money, it feels like you just feel peaceful around money, meaning like it's not stressing you out, and it's not necessarily, a huge prosperous week or anything like that. It's neutral. It's a mute point. It's just peaceful. It's just there, right? It's just you have peace with it. So that tells me that you are going to be spending more of that time in that Shaolin master type energy of really thinking about work and what you want your next steps to be without actually taking the steps, because it's very peaceful. You're not, rocking the cradle. Is that a term? You're not shaking things up. Like, it's not a week to shake things up, but think about how you want to shake things up and how you want to do it in a way that makes sense to you in organized steps, in very thought out plan and steps. Okay, so, and how you want to weave more of your higher self into the work that you do. So lots of peace this week. So even like on a more tangible level, I definitely do see us like nothing really kind of like going on at work too much. maybe a couple of things like here or there, like triggering you that might make you really kind of think about what your next moves are going to be. But it just feels like you're finally at a place where you have the luxury, is a good word to say, of really thinking about what is your next steps with work, and what's your next steps with money and that kind of thing. So definitely marinate on that this week. Surprise. High Priestess, harness mystic power. Okay, so surprise, we're a power card, which is wonderful. So High Priestess, mystic power. So this is really tapping into your power of, and more specifically, more feminine power. So this is the power of receiving. This is the power of empathy, compassion, being in your being, flow, right? Which makes sense because we have that need, because the serendipity, the flow, the force is the masculine, the flow is the feminine energy, right? Again, neither one is bad, you know. It's not a good or bad situation. It's just these are the energies that exist. This is how they fall into each category. So this is really a surprise that your feminine energy is really going to come out, which I see why it's under surprise, because yes, it's kind of like is a nice balance between the action versus inaction, which again is more balance between the feminine and the masculine energies. But this here is saying that you'll be surprised at how far your feminine energy can get you. I'm not getting a specific area of life of where this is kind of coming through, but you'll be surprised at how much you don't do. Let me scratch that. How much your being helps you get ahead, right? Which is something a lot of people don't necessarily understand, is that sometimes when we are in more our feminine energy, we can attract more. And there could be a million examples of like how to do this, but of situations, but I won't give you any. Yeah, I can't think of any on the spot. I think you guys understand what I mean, though, because sometimes when, okay, so if I just look at my life right now, again, sorry to like bring my stuff into this, but you know, I have had a very down 2.5 years of my life, but I don't expect the next 2.5 years to be the same. Okay, so meaning that I have learned a lot. I have fundamentally changed on a soul level, and I know that everything that I've learned, all of the wisdom that I have gathered, all of the elixirs that I'm coming out with, is only going to move me forward and go farther than I would have gone without this experience. So it may have seemed like I was resting, or I couldn't go forward, and I was kind of going backwards, and I was just sitting there and waiting for the time to pass and all that crap that I've had to deal with. But that's the surprise, is saying like, you don't have to continuously be hustling or moving forward to actually be moving forward. Okay, so I think you guys understand what I mean by that, and it'll be different for everybody, but you are moving forward even if you feel like you're not. Okay, so if you aren't feeling like you want to be more in your feminine and you don't feel that hustle energy, which you shouldn't, because we have that peace card there. Again, I'd be very surprised if some of you guys really felt like a hustle type energy, like an ambitious energy. I don't feel that this week, but it's not a bad thing. It just feels more neutral, and then you'll be surprised at how much the feminine energy is influencing you. So, okay, hopefully that makes sense. I think it does. But if you have any questions or anything, you guys can obviously put it down below. Okay, we have companion, betrayal by misusing confidences, loss of personal identity. We had this a little bit last week. Okay, guys, I cannot make this up. I swear on you that I shuffle, and I shuffle well. Okay, I shuffle really well. But the energies, I mean, come on, how could we not have the energies bleed from 1 week, mesh into 1 week from the other? Okay, it doesn't change too much week by week, but here we have the companion in the shadow, betrayal of misusing confidences, loss of personal identity. The personal identity thing was very, very popular topic last week, so I wonder, guys, put down below if you have experienced any of that, because I know I have, but yeah, maybe I'll, oh God, sorry, I keep talking about myself. I don't really mean to, but let's just say there has been a lot of death and rebirths kind of happening as far as like identity goes for myself, and really still trying to figure it out. And so we have it under friends, in the shadow with companions. And so remember what I said about here, our tribe is changing, the people we surround ourselves with are changing, the people that we connect with are changing. So because of our personal identity, our companions are changing, people that we are, that we, and I will say this, people that we regularly spend time with is going through a shift. I just have to say that. So it's not like a falling out. It's just who you vibrate better with, who your frequency matches with better. It's just energy. It's not anything. It's, energy is energy. It's not, it is what it is. So if your energies just don't match, it is what it is. And that's part of the surrender that we need this week, basically. So if you find that you might not have as much in common with friends this week, and it's kind of becoming apparent, it's becoming obvious, and you're feeling like you're moving into another identity that doesn't necessarily match vibrationally, it's okay, it's normal, and a lot of us are going through that. So it could be really sad, but it doesn't mean like you're cutting them off forever or anything like that. And like I said, it doesn't feel like it's toxic or, something permanent. Romantic connection, you were seeing this situation accurately. Okay, I think we actually had this in the same slot weeks ago, but this particular one is saying that you're perceiving something correctly. You are, quote unquote, living in reality. You are seeing things for what they actually are. So it just feels like masks are being taken off. And you're finally ready to kind of admit things to yourself, which I will say there's some connection here with not necessarily speaking your truth, but making sure you are, how do we say this? Like it's almost like it'll be very, very close to impossible to continue things on now that you see things very differently. Okay, so an example, because this is coming under romantic connection, at least this example is not about me, but even though I've had this happen to me before, but you have, you're in a committed relationship, you're in a monogamous relationship, somebody steps out of the monogamous relationship, somebody betrays your confidences, and you've been working on it, and then kind of like all of a sudden this week, you just start to see them differently. It just happens, even though you're, striving to really forgive and work through this, whether you're in couples counseling or something like that. I know this is really specific, but this is the example that's kind of coming up. It's just, you just start to see them differently and see the situation differently and see the partnership differently. And that actually doesn't have to be, to me, that's more of like a negative situation, but it can go the opposite and be more of like a positive situation, that maybe there's somebody in your life that you didn't really think about them one way, and now you're thinking about them in more of like a romantic way, for example. That happens all the time. So that could happen this week too. So it's pretty specific, but I'm really curious to see how that manifests for you guys. Again, put it down below. I'd love to hear how the energies show up for you. What's important? So much is important. Go the distance actually has very similar energies to the responsibilities, where this is kind of saying, it's more so like don't give up, but also keep moving. And this is a moving card, right? Where it's like move, right? Move, go the distance. So this is really about moving into areas that serve you more. As the big change up there is that we're actually moving into communities that serve us more, whether it's intellectually, spiritually, emotionally. And this could also be moving into things that are like physically, environmentally, meaning like even moving, like I mentioned. So it's important that you go the distance. So I would say the extra bonus here, the extra kind of message here is saying it's important that if you do move, that you go the distance, that you actually commit to it, and then you keep going, right? No looking back kind of thing. So if you decide that you want to move, then, Spirit is saying, hey, your first intuition is always right. So it's always on the money. It's always aligned. So, pick something and stick with it and move forward. But again, very interesting that we have that very graceful movement where, it needs to be a little bit more calculated. And again, it does feel like that has something more to do with work. Okay. Health and wellness. What do we got going on here? Fire Guardian, ignite your passions. Amazing. We've been getting this here and there. Sorry, these cards are so bent because I use them so much. But ignite your passion. So finding what's what's passionate to you. What is, so that kind of has the energy up here because again, we're kind of moving out of survival mode. So this is, I think I mentioned it before, like it's like a privilege. It's like a luxury. It's like to think about something more beyond your survival basic needs is what Spirit is asking us. So if you've been in any type of healing process, which again, a lot of us have, or survival mode, or spiritual awakening, or anything that has brought you to your knees, you are finally in a place where you're thinking about what feels purposeful to you and trying to align with that and doing more impact. Now, doing that is going to be good for your wellness, right? That's why it's coming under the wellness spot here. So basically it's saying like focusing on that. So for me, like an example would be like, all I've done is focus on my health, okay? My physical health. And so to me, I would interpret this as Spirit saying, hey, maybe this week, like get back into your stuff. And to be honest with you, I'm recording this over the weekend. I'm already starting to feel that energy, okay? So I need to incorporate my new identity into creating more impact and think about that stuff. So anyway, how it could manifest for you guys is really, you have, basically it's saying you have the luxury now. You have the luxury to kind of be thinking beyond what your basic needs are. And that's just such a beautiful thing because who likes being in survival mode? Not me. Okay, overall outcome. Samaritan, refine your capacity to help those you would prefer to ignore. Okay. And it's in the light. So, okay, so this is about doing, I love that it's next to the Passion card because this is about doing, putting out good, oh my God, why do I want to say juju? Good energy, good juju out into the world and just trying to make the world a better place. I love that it's connected to the passion and the impact because I say this a lot. I know I'm a broken record. You can tell me that down below if you want. But if you don't know what you're passionate about, if you don't know what you can do to bring impact, if you don't know what's purposeful to you, and I would argue you do know deep down, but if it's unclear to you right now, it's always just serve somebody else. It's always the next line move is just to serve in some way, shape, or form. You don't have to go looking too far to find someone or something in need. Foster an animal, adopt an animal, volunteer at the shelter, help somebody cross the street. I live in New York City. I pass people that are homeless on the street every day, buy them a sandwich, okay? So there's different things, and I promise you that will start sparking the soul, okay? Because how is that not good for the soul? Hello. And you'll start running the juices. Basically, you'll start waking things up. Let's be honest. You'll start waking things up. Okay, so, and you'll get into that vibration of purpose, right? Because that we all have the purpose, the universal purpose of helping other people, okay? Serving others, being love, and giving love, okay? And that's in that category. So just do it. As Nike said, just do it. Okay, so that's that. And don't forget, going back to that first one, we really need to pay attention to the things that we're forcing, okay? And we really, it does feel like our soul is also craving for that flow, for that synchronicity, for that serendipity. So I trust you guys that it will, how do I say this? I almost want to say like, naturally or organically make itself known this week. And I know you guys will act accordingly to that energy, right? It's almost like, because I'm telling you, you guys are going to have like the fact that these two kind of came up together in both like the issue and the challenge where we're really, really trying to manipulate an outcome of some sort and we're really having trouble doing it. It almost just feels like to the point that we're really going to just surrender because it's just, I don't know about you guys, but when like you have the moment, you know when it's time to surrender, like you just can't go forward anymore. Like it just feels like you're in quicksand and you cannot move forward anymore. You have to stand still. And again, surrender is not giving up. So just keep that in mind. Okay, I talked too much, I think. All right, guys, it's an interesting week. We've got a couple of like ups and downs, some surprises in there, but overall, I would say like a pretty decent week. So have a wonderful week, guys. Remember, any questions, comments, feedback down below, and yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Okay, have a wonderful, wonderful, glorious week. Okay, bye.